In the quiet, unsuspecting town, the night began like any other. It wasn't until the vampire's horrifying rampage left a trail of blood and chaos in its wake that the townsfolk learned of the dark entity that had plagued them. Desperate for safety, the surviving few believed that a house of worship would be their savior, their refuge from the terror that lurked in the shadows. Unbeknownst to them, their trusted preacher had turned to the dark side, and the church had become a haven for the malevolent creature they so feared. As the survivors sought sanctuary within the church's walls, little did they know that they had unwittingly stepped into a sinister trap. The evil creature was not an enemy there but a welcome guest. The people had no escape from the horrors that unfolded within the dark church, where their faith had turned against them.
We need to talk about how rigged the bone marrow trap is. Valentina's trap is so unnecessarily difficult and she is not given nearly enough time to complete it. Like, this poor woman has to cut off her own leg, but not only that, she has to use a hand-powered wire saw to sever through her own leg, and then has to take a tiny little vacuum and suck out 3 ounces of bone marrow and put it into a machine. This will then set her free. And I'm sorry, I know that everyone who is involved in this cancer scheme is like the scum of the earth, like they did this horrible thing. But my God, Cecilia should have been in a situation like this. Valentina was a sex worker that was struggling to get through everything. This is obviously the first time that anyone else in the supporting cast had actually been in on the cancer scheme. Cecilia is the one who's been doing this for 8 years, and then also Parker. He's probably been doing it for a while too. This trap is rigged in the sense that the time that it takes for the bone marrow to reach the machine is included in the 3 minutes, which is just ridiculous. Like, there's no way that this could be done in a reasonable amount of time.
Most people are familiar with the Pied Piper and his abduction of Hamelin's children, but do you know why he took them? If the folklore is to be believed, in 1284 CE, the German town of Hamelin was overrun by disease-infested rats, and the residents were desperate for a solution. Enter the Pied Piper, who agrees to rid the city of the dirty little terrorists in exchange for payment, and the mayor agrees to his terms. Using his enchanting pipe, he leads the rats out of the city into a river where they all drown. Only when he returns to Hamelin, they refuse to pay the piper. So he takes his revenge by using the same pipe to hypnotize 130 of Hamelin's children and lead them into a cave in the mountains where they're never seen again. And I'll admit, this story is hard to believe because it involves a magic flute that hypnotizes rats and children alike, but historians have presented more practical explanations. If you want to hear those explanations, check out my episode called The Messed Up Origins of the Pied Piper on YouTube.
Imagine hiring a doll maker to create a doll of your dead son, except the doll actually turns into your son when you touch it. The doll maker asks for your dead son's hair, clothes, and an object he loved when he was still alive. And when you first see the doll he made, it just looks like a regular doll. But your wife picks it up and speaks to it as if it's actually your son. And as soon as you touch the doll's hand, you see for yourself. The doll transforms to an identical clone of your dead son that looks, speaks, and acts just like him. Then the doll maker warns you, you can never spend more than 1 turn of the hourglass with the doll, or the illusion will take over your mind and you'll start to believe the doll is real. You won't remember your son's funeral or even hiring the doll maker at all. And sometime later, you begin noticing disturbing changes happening to your wife. You ask her, remember what I said to you at the funeral? And she replies, what funeral? But there's another twist to the story that makes it even better. This short film is called The Doll Maker, and I literally found out about it today, and it's already one of my favorite shorts. But let me know what you thought and follow for more.
Can you imagine living with someone that you know is trying to end your life? This hidden camera captures a moment this woman puts bleach inside her husband's coffee maker multiple times a day. This is Robbie Johnson, and he began setting up cameras all around his house when he started to notice that his coffee was tasting a little off. He wasn't really expecting to catch anything, but when he looked back at the footage, he was shocked. His wife Melody is seen pouring a substance inside his coffee maker every single day before he brewed the coffee. Robbie got testing strips, and each time it tested positive for chlorine. living. At this time, Robbie and Melody were in the process of a divorce, but they were still living together. Robbie pretended to drink his coffee every morning and continued to gather evidence so that he can go to police. But when he showed police all this footage, they said that they couldn't see exactly what Melody was pouring into the coffee maker, so he couldn't prove it. So Robbie had to set up even more cameras around the house with different angles so that it can prove that Melody was, in fact, poisoning him. Melody was charged with attempted murder, and I bet this guy will never let anyone else make him a coffee again.
You know the Michael Jackson Neverland theory?
Neverland, no.
So, you know how the whole thing with Michael Jackson, the scandal, like he would take boys to his home and then...
And there was a picture of him like this, with a baby.
No, that's his baby.
Oh, okay.
No, but this was like a whole scandal that Michael Jackson was taking these kids to his house. Okay. Neverland's kind of like an amusement park. They would just have fun and sleep over at Michael Jackson's house. But what people didn't like was, oh, is he doing that because he's getting like some pleasure off of it? So it became a whole scandal all over the news. Boom, 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 boom. Everywhere. Headlines, news, blah, blah. Guess what was happening? The exact same time that was happening. Jeffrey Epstein's island.
Oh, I think I heard of that.
That was the first time Jeffrey Epstein's island was being exposed. Was during the whole Michael Jackson Neverland scandal. So theory was that he had to bite the bullet for the rest of of Hollywood type of shit. You'll put all the attention on MJ because the whole world is gonna listen about that.
This is the Pitbull video, one of the hardest cartel execution videos to watch explained. The video that I'm about to explain is extremely graphic and I don't recommend searching for it. The video begins with the man lying on his back on the ground and two men are holding his legs open. He's being restrained. And in total, there is 5 perpetrators and 1 victim. And also 2 pit bull dogs. Apparently, this is the victim's punishment for allegedly doing something with a kid or to a kid. The victim is naked, and at the start of the video, the dog has done most of the work. The dog already ripped off the man's privates, and it's just a bloody mess. The dog continues to rip pieces of flesh off of where his privates used to be, and the victim is being held down, and he is also gagged so he can't scream. But sometimes the gag came loose and at this point you could hear the man scream in pain. The victim was even talking, but I couldn't translate it, but that means he was completely conscious during this. Which I can't even imagine the pain. As a man, this might be one of the worst videos out there. Funky Town is bad, Ghost Rider is bad, but as a man, I can't imagine anything more painful than a pit bull ripping off your junk while you're still alive. Not many people mention this video with the other disturbing ones, but it's definitely up there. There's not any information about the victim after the video. I don't know if he died, but it's safe to assume he did. He lost a lot of blood, and if a dog eats your privates, you will most likely get an infection and die from it. All in all, this video is very graphic, very real, and very disturbing. Please do yourself a favor and never go searching for this video, especially if you're a man.
Tusked xenomorphs, distinct from the typical strain, were lethal enforcers for the killer Yautja. Unlike typical chestbursters, they emerging directly from humans with unique anatomical features and a crustacean-like head. Tusked xenomorphs, predominantly black with reddish accents, featured downward projecting tusks and played a sinister role in a distant planet's harrowing infestation, overwhelming a colossal necropolis trillions of miles from Earth on Chione. Tusked xenomorphs, initially used by the killer Yautja to hunt humans, betrayed their former allies when a native queen xenomorph was captured by predator clan, Ryushi hunters, marking a pivotal shift in their allegiance and revealing a complex chapter in their history.
Morbid Facts, Part 143. When Steven Tyler was 27 years old, he started a relationship with a 14-year-old girl. He took her on the road with her, got her addicted to drugs, got her pregnant, and forced her to have an abortion when she was only 16. Anton syndrome is a rare psychological condition that can affect people who suddenly go blind. They are unaware of their blindness and outright deny it, since their brain generates false visual images, causing them to believe that they can still see. At some point during the Middle Ages, it was believed that sperm produced by the left testicle resulted in having girls. To ensure having a son, men would have it removed. This is an example of a pillory which was used as a form of capital punishment in 19th century China. The man in the photo can't reach his face with his hands, so he must rely on pedestrians to feed him and give him water like a dog. The device also made it incredibly hard to sleep comfortably and essentially tortured the prisoner until they eventually died from starvation.
Terrifier 3 is said to be more disturbing, more disgusting, more gory than anything we saw in Terrifier 2. The teaser for Terrifier 3 was released in theaters last week, and it shows Art the Clown dressed as Santa Claus. We see Art putting presents underneath a Christmas tree and a child waking up and Art getting very aggravated that this child is bothering him. The director of the film says this opening scene with the child is going to be the most controversial scene in any of the movies, so everyone is assuming that the kid is not going to make it away from Art the Clown. But he has also gone out of his way to say that while that scene will be controversial, it is not even the kill scene of the movie. He said the biggest scene in Terrifier 3 will make the bedroom scene from Terrifier 2 look like a walk in the park. Which, if you've seen Terrifier 2, that is an insane thing to say about your movie. Apparently, after the success of Terrifier 2, a lot of big studios approached the director about making Terrifier 3. But before even seeing a script, they wanted to censor and cut down a lot of stuff. And the director said, nope, I'm going to keep it independent. I think Terrifier 3 is going to be insane, and I cannot wait for it.
A night out turned into a nightmare for this young woman. Mitchell Dang filmed a Get Ready With Me vlog, having no idea that this would be her last night out. She attended a DJ set at Club Future in downtown Atlanta, and when she left, this was the last time anyone would ever see her alive. At 7 a.m. on August 30th, 2023, a parking garage attendant reported smelling a foul odor and following the scent to a staircase. That's when they discovered the decomposing body of Mitchell Dang. It turns out when she was walking to her car, she was approached by a man named Jakevius Arnold. This man strangled her before violating her body. He then shoved her under the stairwell and covered her body with newspaper. In court, police said he also likely stole her phone and debit card. Jakevius Arnold was first identified on security cameras in the parking garage, and later his grandmother confirmed that that looked like her grandson. Jakevius Arnold is being held on a long list of charges and without bond. A sad detail is that when he first approached Mitchell, she yelled at him to get away from her. But he played it off acting like a good Samaritan, and she eventually gave in and let him walk her to her car. I think it's the My Favorite Murder podcast, but one true crime podcast always says politeness gets women killed, and it's so true. We're raised to want to be liked and to think that we always have to be nice, but then it puts us in these situations where we ignore our instincts. I'm not blaming Mitchell for what happened, and my sincerest condolences go to the Dang family. But I've covered multiple cases where it's the people who are trying to be nice that get victimized. Stay safe out there, and let me know which case you'd like me to cover next in the comments.
I just watched a film on Tubi, and I literally cannot tell if it was real footage or not, and it's causing me to kind of spiral. Like, it says at the beginning that this footage was found on a GoPro, like, headband, and the police department is releasing it to see if anyone knows anything about the case. And literally the entire film is just footage off of a GoPro. It's this man recording a night that he is looking for his fiancée that went missing in a town where a lot of women seem to be going missing. The stuff that he finds out and the mystery that unravels is actually insane. The last 20 minutes of this movie had me literally on the edge of my seat on the verge of tears. I was just like, because I was watching this and I was like, oh, it's gonna be a mystery. No, it's scary. It was so scary. It gets scary so fast. Like, the beginning starts off being like a mystery and you're like trying to solve it with the guy, and then the ending is just like, bam. Real or just really well done found footage. I highly recommend you guys check out this film. It's called The Washington County Disappearances, and it can be found on Tubi completely for free with ads, but watch with caution because the ending it's a little intense and it comes out of nowhere.
People are angry because they believe tipping is getting out of hand. Like this woman who received no tip and decided to take all the food back to the grocery store.
Why are you taking my food? If you can pay for the service, you can pay for the tip as well, don't you? No, I can't. I'm saying if you're not going to tip me, I'm just going to take it back. Like,
Or this driver who received no tip and decided to throw someone's food in their yard.
This is not saying anything about payment. As far as the tip? Yeah, I didn't tip. Can I have my food? Yeah, look at it.
Before I continue, a lot of you have been wondering how I get my teeth so white. I've just been gargling 2 to 10 minutes with this Girl Nanda oil pulling formula. It has done wonders by taking out the bad bacteria in my teeth and my gums. This stuff is a game changer. You can get it by clicking right here in the TikTok shop. Anyways, back to the story. This woman believes if you don't have enough money to tip, you shouldn't go out to eat or order food.
If you don't have money to tip your server and you go out to eat and don't tip your server, I have zero respect for you.
Oh, and don't get me started on this guy.
Yeah, here you go. Yeah, nice big ass house. Thanks for the $6.25 I get for driving all the way out here from Walmart. You rich, ungrateful, stupid motherfuckers. Eat shit and die.
But what do you think? Should tipping be mandatory or not? And make sure to click that follow button because my next story is insane.
Here are some morbid facts about North Korea. This photo shows American college student Otto Warmbier begging for mercy in front of a North Korean court in 2015. He'd been visiting the country as part of a guided tour group and tried stealing a propaganda poster that was intercepted by airport security. 6 years later, he returned to the US in a vegetative state and died soon afterwards when his parents requested his feeding tube to be removed. North Korean hospitals are so underfunded that many operations are performed without anesthesia or antibiotics. To make matters worse, the same needles are often used for different patients, so a lot of people exit the hospital in worse shape than when they entered. North Korean founder Kim Il-sung had a baseball-sized tumor on the back of his head that propaganda officials worked hard to hide. As a result, this is one of the only photos ever taken of the tumor. North Korea imposes a 3-generation punishment rule. This means that if one person commits a crime, their entire bloodline, including the grandparents, parents, and children, are all sent to prison.
Breaking news, a missing woman's torso has been found in a dumpster and both of her parents are still missing. On Tuesday night, a woman and both of her parents were reported missing. That same night, neighbors told authorities that they saw a body in a bag in the suspect's yard. However, when authorities arrived, they said the bag was gone. At 6:15 a.m. on Wednesday, a homeless person going through a dumpster discovered the remains. Authorities said it was, quote, a dismembered female wrapped in a plastic bag. It was just outside the dumpster. After reviewing surveillance footage in the area, police say they were pointed to the suspect's home. The home is located about 5 miles from the scene of the crime. The suspect lived at the home with his wife, 3 children, and her 2 parents. Officials say upon investigating at the home, they found evidence of a crime, including blood. The children were located safely at school yesterday and were handed over to the Department of Children and Family Services. Authorities say they're still working to identify the remains, however, they do believe it is the suspect's wife. The 35-year-old suspect was arrested on Wednesday around 11:30 a.m. This was about 4 hours after the torso was discovered. Investigators are still seeking tips and hope surveillance video will shed more light on the crime. The suspect is currently being held on a $2 million bail. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
Now, you know Annabelle.
Oh,
like,
no, not
the cursed doll. There's another one in 2017.
Yeah.
This story, that ass made me like not want to get shit from thrift stores no more, bro.
Oh
So listen. So there's this woman named Debbie Merrick, and she went to a thrift store and she found these dolls that she really thought were really cool.
Yeah.
So she bought them, 3 of them, and took them home. Now, one of the dolls, every time she picked it up, she would get like this feeling in her stomach that it didn't feel right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she put it away and she left it in like a guest room.
Okay.
So she could never see it again. Now, ever since that day, when she goes to bed, she would hear footsteps creaking in her hallway. Now, she thought it was just her daughter, so she woke up to go check on it. She went to her daughter's room, and her daughter was sleeping. It wasn't her.
For sure, yeah.
Now, the next night, her husband woke up with scratches on his leg. The husband's like, okay, it has to be something with that doll, because that doll is giving me weird vibes.
For sure,
right?
yeah.
So she brought a medium to the house to go check on it. Now, the medium told her there's a spirit that's trying to attach itself to the doll, and it's still around in this house. She was forced to put the doll into a shed in her backyard and leave it, right?
Oh, shit.
Now, she never goes and checks on her shed until one time she went to go check it. She opened it up and she saw the doll had a necklace on its neck. It was taken off and her clothes were chained.
No.
Yeah. The word and the rumor about this doll went rampant, went viral, right? And they actually got invited to live television.
For the doll?
For the doll. So they had the doll sitting with them on a rocking chair.
Stop.
Now, there's footage of the doll during the interview. Check this out.
No way.
Crazy.
Breaking news, 3 new documents have dropped in the Bryan Kohberger case. The first document was a motion to file Exhibit I by Bryan Kohberger's team. The judge allowed this and filed it under seal. The second document was the defendant's 10th supplemental request for discovery. This is them asking the prosecution for any evidence they have and will submit. The judge also filed an order setting a deadline for IGG information. He stated that the prosecution has until December 1st to produce all IGG information to the court. This includes what's in the possession of the FBI as well as the private laboratory. He said unless the state demonstrates good cause, that the date for the deadline will not change. I have an additional Kohberger update coming out today as well, so stay tuned. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
The movie Nightmare on Elm Street is based on a true story. In the 1980s, a Cambodian family came to America escaping the horrors that are unfolding in their country. All was fine until the young boy in the family was always haunted by terrible nightmares that he forced himself to stay awake for numerous days. He told his parents that the entity chasing him in his dreams would claim his life. His parents convinced him that these were only bad dreams and he should go to sleep. But you see, the boy's premonitions turned tragically true when his parents woke up in the middle of the night to his screams, and when they got to him, he was already gone. This chilling incident was not isolated though. In the late 1970s, many young men in the US that are Southeast Asian descent also suffered the same fate. Intriguingly, a staggering 98% of such incidents happened between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. To this day, the exact cause of this phenomenon remains unsolved.
So this follower grew up in California, and they were told throughout their whole childhood what S-walkers are, and they were never really too concerned about the legends. That is until one day their very sweet and friendly neighborhood cat goes missing. One night while their grandmother is driving them back to their house, they see a cat in their yard. But this cat looks strange, and it is abnormally large. And on top of that, this cat looked injured. So freaked out, our follower runs into their house and just goes straight to their room as this cat is walking into their backyard. They didn't see this cat again, but they did see something strange a few nights later. They saw something strange crawling down their street. They described it as looking human, but not quite there, and it was crawling. And a little bit later, the neighborhood cat did return, but the cat returned differently. She no longer liked to be touched and was really standoffish, which was polar opposite to how she was before she left. So is it possible? Could this follower have encountered an infamous walker? I don't know. It's creepy though.
Honey, what does FML mean?
Haha, why?
You said it last night. FML dad and daughter night.
Haha, I would never say that. Where did you see that?
It was on your Snapchat.
You added me on Snapchat?
Your sister sent it me. She said I'd like to see it.
WTF Kimmy.
Hey, young lady, watch your language. I know what WTF means.
Sorry, Dad.
Next time you're grounded.
It won't happen again.
Now tell me what FML means.
It's not important.
It's important to me.
Just forget about it.
It's about our night together. Will you please explain it to me?
You wouldn't get it.
What do you mean? I can be hip and cool.
Please don't use emojis, Dad.
I thought emojis were cool.
NGL only dads use that emoji.
What does NGL mean?
Not gonna lie.
And what does FML mean?
Do you really want to know?
Yes, honey.
It means I love you.
What?
I love you, Daddy.
FML means I love you?
It's how kids say I love you.
But how is that possible?
I just told you.
FML isn't an abbreviation?
I knew you wouldn't get it. It's because you're not cool.
Are you lying to me?
Ha ha ha, what?
It just doesn't make sense. LOL means laugh out loud. BRB means be right back. IDK means, I don't know, FML must be an abbreviation.
I don't think it is.